Hey guys, welcome to our newly upgraded Team AHDR Swift live streaming studio. So today we've got round two of the Racing Without Borders series, 3 laps of Innsbruckring. We have two awesome teams in A grade and B grade that I'm going to try and follow along with today. I haven't actually flipped between two races before, so that's going to be interesting. But I will do my best to capture the key moments of each one. So for the A's at the moment, they're about to get started. And do as they do. Iron them. Trying to get back to the A's here. To work. No, the B's are off first. Right, let me jump. B's first. All right, so our B's are off. And let's have a quick look at the field from AHDR today. So in the B's, good size field. We have Chris Davies, Chris O'Halloran, sprinter extraordinaire. Dan Wells, pretty handy in a sprint as well. Mark Brassington, really handy in a sprint as well. Stephen Osox and Stu Williams, great crew over there. And we'll get the A's will be off soon. We can go back to them. We have Espen Lewis, who I think came fourth last week, round one. Pierre. Sure. If you do have a quick look at the standings, as the Bees get themselves sorted, and we'll check in quickly and soon to make sure they've all made that front group. So last week, standings. So the Bees are in fourth overall, and Stu Williams is our best placed rider, 11th, with Chris down in 16th. And over in the A's, Lewis, that fourth place finish last week. Awesome start. Espen down in 14th. And on the team standings, we're actually sitting right up in second, only 1 point. Edge Handmade Racing. So all on the line today, we could see AHDR taking the lead in the standings. Jump back in with the Bees. Have a look how we're going. So still working away up towards the critical part of the course, which is, of course, a leg snapper. I'm sure anyone who's raced on Zwift has probably had a go at Innsbruckring. You've probably had to go up this cobbled climb. It's a really nasty sort of 1 minute effort for the Bs, maybe a little less for the A graders, and we'll expect to see some big watts there, maybe 7 watts a kilo. 3 laps around, it's going to hurt, and there's a bonus sprint on second lap. And this course is notorious for that, because that bonus sprint comes right after crushing leg snapper climb, and so you're already on your absolute limit, just holding that group, and then you're expected to sprint just a few hundred meters after. So lap 2 will be sure to get in on there and watch what's going on. Just having a flick through the field here. I did see Dan Wells in this front group. Mark's obviously there. Big front pack. Here's Stuart. Cruising. We're coming up to this bridge, which is a tricky little part of the course if you're paying attention. Who might be paying towards the back and how big this front group is. This little rise, just that you'll see the gradient kick up 1 or 2%. Does make a bit of a, it does stretch the pack. It can catch you out if you're not careful. It's like Doing pretty well. Dan sitting nicely in the back there. Looks like have all of our key riders featured in this front group. No Socks just cruising at the back. He's learnt a few things. Kelly's learned a few things. Look at this, 228 watts, no sweat whatsoever. 3.3, just tagging on nicely to this group, cruising along. Gonna have to be careful here though, because not group's gonna accelerate down this hill and around this corner, and it's really gonna stretch things out. So have a little play with my camera. See how this goes, and you can see the stretch now as we come down here. Few wheels here for No Socks to draft. Get his skates on, or we're gonna be one rider down these early stages. They're still pushing down this hill. Ideally on this course, you'd be tagged in right at the back of this bunch and you wouldn't have this push. Should be recovering. They found himself in an awkward spot here. Have some drama. Early days in the B grade race. Few riders here to help. Now that gap is getting out to 2 seconds. I'm sure he really appreciates me spotlighting this effort in this chase too. Got to 4 watts a kilo now. Thumbs on. Come on, No Socks. Thrown in the arrow. Giving it everything. 4.5 watts per kilo. Looking like a dangerous, dangerous gap though. At to 3 seconds. Might be pulling the parachute now. As we get onto this flagstone that's not far to the leg snapper climb, we do have some help here. See if these riders, what are they pulling? 4, 5 watts a kilo. Can they drag? Can they zipper this back up? Can they drag him back up to the field? Be a heck of a chase. 4 seconds to gap now. Almost going to be time to jump in and have a look at the leg snapper climb while I get ready to flick back to the A's. All right, we'll check back in with No Socks after this. It's going to be tough, but for now, let's flick up. As we come around these cobbles, pace is going to start to clear, really heat up. Let's see if we can find. Oh, where's Dan? There he is. We'll sit in with Mr. Dan Wells and let's watch. You can see a lot of AHDR jerseys represented here at the front. Yep. I've seen Dan absolutely dominate before. I'm sure he's going to do well here, and you can see him positioning well. 715 watts, 8 watts per kilo. Oof. These boys are not playing around. Even though it's lap 1 of 3, this is really hurting. See the stretch now. We'll swing around. Look at the damage being done to this field. Dan's pushing up well there. I can see plenty of AHDR jerseys. I can see Chris at the front, Stu in the green cap. Great, I'm sure Mark is not far behind. I've seen him contest this sprint in the Zwift Racing League, and there he is. Casual as you like without the helmet. And that's Chris, right? It's Chris without the helmet. He's done well. It looks like there's a little bit of a split here. And Mark pushing hard. He's just caught on the wrong side of that gap at the moment. So we know we've got Chris, Stewart, Dan, and Chris O'Halloran up the front. Question just is now, can Mark bridge that gap, get up to this main group? Keep an eye on him, although I do want to flick back to the A's to see whether or not they're up to the leg snapper climb. They can't be far away. Let's go, Mark. Follow these wheels, buddy. Get on. Little descent here. Little climbs, absolutely critical. Come on, buddy. Little dig. Little dig. That's it. 6 watts a kilo. That's it. If we can tag back onto this group. What's looking like tough times here. Mark, I'm going to flick back to the A's, where they're at to. Wow, the A's have absolutely moved, so they're over the climb already. They're not far behind, actually, where our B graders are. They have flown up this first section. Who have we got? I see Pierre, I see Espen, and Scher all in this front group, and it's quite an elite front group too. Only 12 riders. But here we are, AHDR, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lewis is in here as well. It's amazing. What a fantastic start from our A graders. 4 riders in the top 12. Really laying down. Huge start. So over half the riders popped. Low socks, we saw how that went. Really tough start there. So he's just chilling now. He's gonna roll in. That's okay. I'm gonna go back to the Bs. We have a great group represented there, and we'll see how Mark's going. Whether he was able to make that catch. He was chasing hard. Looks like just didn't quite hold on up the leg snapper though. That's really tough. That was a huge chase, some big watts trying to catch back on. But we are down to a group of 27 by the look of it in the B graders. With Chris Davies, Chris O'Halloran, Dan Wells. Who else have we got? Stu Williams, all represented. So really good for the team's results today, both in A grade and B grade. A bit of a quieter patch now, back along the river. A lot of power ups flying though. Interesting. Maybe it's not as genteel as I thought. A lot of drafting. At 40 kilometers an hour for a group this size, fairly relaxed pace. Nice and wide on the road. Hopefully the guys are getting in some good recovery because of that leg snapper. Expecting that's going to stretch things out again. Probably get down from this group of 27 to 20 or so on lap 2, and then that sprint, don't forget, intermediate sprint coming up after that is also going to stretch things out. We saw it was very close between the A's and the B's on the road. It's going to make it really tricky for me here in the commentary box. Look back to the A's now. We see they are not far behind. Now, so this is going to be super tight between the two grades as to who makes the leg snapper first. I will do my best to cover this for you. Back up to the B's. Oh, and there's some chatter here in the cheesecake pod messenger group. Chris saying, "Let's team time trial it. Bridge, love it. Aggressive move. We'll definitely stick in here with the B's. Sit in with Chris. I'm watching. I'll let him know the camera's on." And let's see if we do see some aggression. Dan's going to be going for the fastest segment time, the intermediate sprint. So interesting little feature of these. So there are points for the first across the line through the intermediate sprint and for the fastest segment time. So first across the line, obviously, need to be right at the front of the group. Standard race finish, or fastest through the segment. Actually, you want to start at the back, as far back as you can, ride the draft all the way through the field. So we'll be seeing different tactics. So don't be alarmed if Dan's at the back of the field going into that sprint. He's going for the fastest time. Be eagerly awaiting those leaderboards to see how he's featured there. continuing on through this nice section through the streets of Innsbruck, always some nice recovery here. Unusual to see any attacking moves, but maybe our boys can catch them by surprise as we do go over the bridge shortly. Let's swing around there. Let's look like we have some bees not too far behind. We might almost see are coming back together here. We got a 7-second gap from that leading group of 27 back to facing pack, which seems to be building a little bit of momentum. This is interesting. Around, have a look at the gap. They're definitely in their sights. We might see it coming together here before we hit the leg snapper, which is going to be an interesting little feature. Starting to edge up on that mini map too. Quick flick back to the A's. See where they're up to. We've still got this very select A group here. 12 in this front group, just behind the Bs. Go back to those Bs and have a look what they are up. Fortunately, the only way for me to do this is to type in names and toggle fan view on Canyon app. So sorry, it's not the slickest of transitions. But here we are on the bridge where Chris was to attack. Looks like they're going to keep their powder dry. Pull that intermediate sprint. As we swing around, see, it's almost like a crosswind stage of a race. We've got echelons on the road, and those gaps are closing. This is a fascinating climb up the leg snapper to see, do they latch back on? Do we drop again? I mean, I'm sure there'll be some attrition, but could it all come back together again? A bit of recovery now. Getting downhill, nice tight bunch. 2 seconds now, back to the chasing groups, and a drop rider Mark is featuring in this group. This is awesome. We might see Mark taking back on here. That group's closed from 7 seconds to 2, just in the time that I took off to check in on the A group. They're looking pretty motivated here. Mark leading out, doing some work on the front. The gap comes down. We're going to see those flagstones shortly, which sort of signals you're about 1 kilometer from the base of the leg snapper. Let's have a look here and see. It looks like you can kind of see the riders now. They can sense that they're going to rejoin. Sort of got a single file rolling front group here. Like you might see in a team time trial as they work together to close this gap, and we are all going to come back together on the flagstones for the climb. So awesome effort from Mark there, working well with that group. And it is no longer an elite group of 27 in the front. We have 45 riders. Our newly minted leading peloton going to be pushing up the leg snapper on lap 2. Jump back up. Sitting with Stu Williams for climb. Nice tight group here. Really important through this section. Get that positioning right for the climb. And particularly with the intermediate sprint following and some reasonable points on offer through it as well. This is going to be a really tough one. Having to do this 1 minute effort all out just to stay in the group, and then the position and then sprint is just unbelievable. I've seen Dan do it he's got a strong mountain bike background. He somehow has this incredible ability to kick hard up this hill and then recover and kick again in the sprint. See some feathers flying at the base of the climb. Really starting to move, seeing a little bit of a stretch here. Back around top 20, looks like we're going to have an elite group again. I can see Dan, I can see Stuart, O'Halloran in the mix. Stretching out or swing around the damage here. Looks like we're going to lose at least half of this peloton again. Just so much power being put at the front as they crest. The Dan's on, Stuart's on. What else have we got? Let's have a look. Chris Davies there. The hat. Chris O'Halloran without the helmet. Go down in the super tuck, try and get some recovery. Remember that intermediate sprint is coming up. Have to go over this little rise. See the big hotel corner, which pretty much signals the start of the segment. I'm looking for Mark B. It looks like he's been distanced again on the leg snapper climb, as so many of these riders have, but they're not far. If we look at that mini map, only a small gap. I'm sure we're going to see riders come back together. What is going to happen through this section? So I'm going to sit in with Chris. If you want to see some fireworks and see some big watts, then you ride along with Chris O'Halloran. That's for sure. So this yellow hotel on the corner is essentially the start of the bonus segment, the prime segment, the intermediate sprint. We have 4 riders competing for it. So we'll see Dan in his red hat probably drift a little bit back here and try and wind up this pace as we go in. It's a 300-meter sprint, so we'll see the riders lighting it up pretty soon. We can get a slide on view. Chris is going to be winding up now. So Dan, look at this, 17:45. That he was going for it and he got it. Amazing work. Chris also looking for that top segment time there. It's come in the 7th. And we have Chris Davis in 9th. So 3 AHDR. Oh, sorry, and I've even given Stu. Stu's fantastic effort here. Actually, all 4 of our riders in this leading pack have featured in the top 10 on the fastest times through that segment. So some huge points. What a haul for the guys through there. And look at the damage that this has done. So we have a small group up the road. 9 in the leading pack. I can see Dan, I can see Stu, I can see Chris Davies. All in here. Pacing pack. It looks like they're going to get back on. So Halloran was in that group. Looks like we'll have 4 riders in the lead bunch, and there's Chris at the back tacking on. New super group at the front of the race, which now contains 19 riders, and we'll see whether the field can reel these guys in again, whether there's enough riders left back to work together. A bigger gap this time. It's not the 7 seconds that we saw before. Back the road. They can see the leading group. We do see that gap down by a second now to 14. So you never know. Mark's back in there. We've seen how he can work and really get the group moving. We may yet see riders coming back together here. All that excitement, I've forgotten about our poor A team. They're not getting the love here. Let's check in with them, see if that lead group of 12 has progressed any further. So I've jumped in with Shaw. Looks like in no man's land at the moment. He's been gapped on that climb all through that sprint. Have a look up the front. Who do we have? Have a lead group here of 9. 3 AHDR riders represented. Looks like Sher's going to drop back to that chasing group now. We have Pierre, Espen, and Lewis all in this group, coming up to the banner now. Actually tracking our bees really, really closely. Really, really annoying me. I'd love to watch you all. They're going through the banner now. And our bees do have a little bit of a gap on the A graders. They've made some progress through the town here. So if I'm quick, I might be able to get back to the A's for their 3rd leg snapper, and then for the big sprint finish. Let me get myself set up to do that. We're all set to jump back in with Lewis when the time comes, as the bees try and recover those legs from that brutal combination of the leg snapper climb and the intermediate sprint. Outstanding, outstanding result for the boys on the fastest segment time through that sprint. I didn't catch the front, but saw that Chris was making up some good ground in about 12th spot, and we know that Stu and Chris Davies finished ahead of him. So we may have featured in those top 10 spots for first across the line points as well. So looking like a great points haul there. Obviously in a great position now. 4 riders in this lead group get some great points over the line. Dan just asked a question about this rider off the front. Have a little bit of a look. Holstein, 16-second gap. We might do some Zwift power detective work. Let's see. This Holstein holding some big watts, 5 watts a kilo, 173. Let's just dive into our signups and let's see what we can find the guys on this rider Holstein. If our live tracking is working, and it is. Can't see this rider here. Can't find him in the sign up list either, so it looks like Swift Power Live is seeing the same thing I'm seeing, which is the front group of, what have we got? Oh, well, 13 or so. That's it. So let's switch back. These watts are kind of crazy at this point. Let the guys know that lead rider's not on Zwift Power. And I will sure hope that that is the case. Otherwise, I'm going to be rapidly demoted from my role as Director Sportif. Coming over the bridge now. I've had some reconsolidation of this group, so back up to a lead group of 38. That's what I was seeing on Swift Power. The gap further back, so we should see Mark Brassington back in the field, having all 5 AHDR riders represented in the peloton. No, we can't see that that breakaway rider at all. Jump in with Chris. Right, so on the leading back to leg snapper for the last time. Nice little group here. Big size. I'm sure we'll see some attrition now, and they won't be coming back after this one. That's for sure. There won't be time before finish. So not with the front of the race over this hill. That's race over for sure. We'll definitely be cheering on our guys here, see if they can hold that front group. If we can get 4 or 5 riders testing the finish. Fantastic climbing today, really. I mean, yeah, Stuart, the 2 Chris's, Dan, super strong over this snapper. All 3 laps so far and throughout that climb. Stuck with that front bunch as it stretched out. Never looked in any danger of missing that split. We're coming up to party time now. The road does kick up just on the far side of this bridge of that pedestrian crossing. You can see map those gradient changes. And here we go. This is where you make your money on this course. We can see Dan up front. Now just tucking and getting a bit of draft. Chris Davies featuring prominently. Stu Williams moving up on the left in the green hat. So Halloran not far behind. Keeping an eye out for Mark to see. You know, this climb has distanced him the last couple of laps. Can he hold on as we're seeing push up the front, some big Watson red numbers coming up. Mark holding firm at 6.5 as that crest comes into view. So we've got 4 in that leading group, slight split opening up just behind them. Come on, Mark. Working hard, holding strong, still 6 watts a kilo. Just got to get over this crest and then find some wheels on the descent. Feature in the finish. A lot of attrition further back, so Mark sitting in 5th. See, will this all come together? I'm going to flick back to the A's if we can catch them. Oh, just at the top of the snapper, looks like Lewis has put in a huge effort. He's over safe and sound. Espen not far behind. Pierre. Also with that group, this is fantastic. We've got 3 riders here. Facing a lone breakaway. Ward's got a 4-second gap. Hold that through to the finish. Bees are going to finish first. So I'll flick back to them and try and get back to the bees and see Mark's managed to get back on. How this race is shaping up. A bit of a gap by the look of it. We've got Dan in 17th and just off the back, Chris Davis in that second group by the look of it. Chris O'Halloran's in this lead group. Have a look. Have a see. We've got, so a lead group of 17. Coming around through the intermediate sprint point again. No sprint points this lap. See Stu Williams in the green cap. Chris O'Halloran without the helmet. Dan in the pink hat. So 3 riders represented in this lead group of 16. Go back 6 seconds to chasing group with Chris Davies represented and back through the field and see Mark. see some serious damage here. I haven't found Mr. Mark Brassington. Find him now here. Mark in this second group with Chris Davies. Chasing. This is going to be super tight. 4-second gap now. Back in with the leaders and keep an eye on this gap. Hopefully the AHDR boys up the front here. Getting a bit of recovery. They're not going to mind at all if Chris and Mark get back on. And this is going to be tight. There's only about 2 kilometers to go back along the river. Finish we've got set up for you here. A's won't be far behind. I'll get set up to try and jump in with them as soon as this B race wraps up. As I said, we've got an attack off the front. Meters, big solo effort, 7 watts a kilo. Has opened up a 2-second gap. It's going very, very long here. Maybe not a bad strategy on some tired legs. You can see we've got 2 groups chasing. We've got 3 HDR riders in that first big group on the road, 2 in the one behind it. Trying to watch on the minimap, we can see the banner now is getting incredibly close. Peters has absolutely flown away here. We click back to Swift Power Live to see. And yes, he's absolutely in the field. Going to be in the results. The group have got to catch him. 5 seconds now for Peters. Still holding strong at 4.5 watts per kilo. He might have got the jump here. Maybe race over. Click back in with the group to see how they're going to go. It looks like they're going to hold off this group. Dan pushing for the line now. Peters not far in front of him. Come on, Dan. He's got the draft. What's he got left for a kick? Pushing hard now in 5th. It looks like they might be able to reel Peters in right in the last seconds. Go, Dan, go. They got Peters, they got him in. Sprinters coming from behind. Chris finishing close. Oh, awesome finish. Quickly flick across to the A's where Lewis, big final sprint. Esper not far in front. It looked like it might have been possibly a 2nd and a 3rd there for the A graders. Watch the replay on that one. That was tight. Positions weren't updating. Awesome efforts, guys. Well, that was a lot of fun. So thanks for racing hard. Pleasure being with you all. I hope that was a little bit of fun. Enjoyed the new setup with a little bit of AHDR branding and some color and a little bit more professionalism to it. So, we're going to keep working on it. Have some fun with these live streams. So I'm going to go back and look at that replay and check out the results because there were some big points in there. The AHDR boys, let's see how we went. Thanks for watching.